All right. Well, thank you for joining us. My name is Matt Beatty, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Iowa Sports Foundation, which is the nonprofit organization that manages the Corridor Corporate Games. We are so excited to be having this meeting after the year that we've had. We sincerely wish we could be meeting in person like we like to do, but we're all so good at using Zoom now. We just decided to go ahead and play it safe and make this a virtual administrator meeting. And so with us today from our staff is our CEO of the Iowa Sports Foundation, Chuck Long, and then Kyle Wagner, who's the director of the corporate games. Before we get started in the meeting, Chuck would like to say a few words. Chuck?
Yes, thank you everybody for being on this Zoom today. We are entering our third year of Corridor Corporate Games. We're very excited about how we navigated through the pandemic. From last year to this year, we have a lot of COVID protocols in place that have kept it safe for everybody. And we are excited to have all of you come back and get on this Zoom and get started this summer. It's gonna be a great summer. Again, we know how to navigate it now and in a great way. And we hope everybody stays safe and well during the summer. And our goal is to have everybody do that. So along the way, we have a number of sports and opportunities and volunteerism to choose from to earn points for your company. And we wish you all the best of luck with your company this summer. And without further ado, I want to turn it back over to Matt. So thank you for being on today.
All right, thanks, Chuck. Like you mentioned, we learned a lot last summer, and we don't want to dwell on it too much, but we do want to thank those of you that stuck with us. We have a lot of returning companies, and we really appreciate that. Given the circumstances, we feel that an event like the Corporate Games has become more important than ever. It's just a chance to interact with your coworkers, a chance to be active when you've had so many reasons to hunker down and not leave the couch, something to look forward to when there's been a lot of days that there isn't a lot of excitement. So it's nice to have this opportunity there again. And now that we've been through a rough summer of 2020, we're excited about 2021. And so the light is definitely getting brighter at the end of the tunnel. Vaccinations are open to everybody in Iowa. Or at least all adults, and that's a big deal. And so we're just really excited, and we hope you are too. Bringing back a lot of the events that people love. We'll be doing them in a safe manner, as Chuck had mentioned. And some of those safety guidelines may change as we go. This is a very fluid situation as we work our way out of this pandemic. And so either way, we're just excited to bring back some normalcy to everybody. And last year was also an opportunity for us. We developed some new ideas for the corporate games. We got to test them out on the fly for the most part. Not everything worked as well as we wanted it to, but a lot of them did. And so we were really happy with that. And we're carrying over some of those virtual opportunities in addition to what we normally do in person. So with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kyle.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. This is one of my favorite days of the year because it means we're getting closer and closer to the games actually starting. So again, thank you to everybody for attending. It's going to be an awesome summer, and I think this is going to be a huge event for this area. It can really be a special event in the corridor area, and I think it can really thrive over there. So keep continuing to maybe challenge your other businesses and friends and keep getting other companies to join because the more companies we get, the more fun this thing is going to be. And as you know, a lot has changed over the last year, but the core features of the games have not. That's all still intact. We've added some new virtual type events, so things are going to be, again, a lot of fun this summer. We've organized this meeting today with most of our new changes towards the beginning. So any of you seasoned veterans that think they know Corporate Games Manager really, really well, after we do the changes and go through some of the community challenges and events with our partners, such as Meals for the Heartland and Blood Donation Challenge. If you feel comfortable and know Corporate Games Manager well, after that, I would say you are free to go. We will have Corporate Games Manager open towards the end of this meeting. All I ask is you don't take our test volunteer spots if you go into Corporate Games Manager. So that'll be open here shortly. with that part of things. So again, if you feel seasoned, once we get to that point, feel free to take off. And this will be recorded for any of you that do need to take off early. We understand it can get a little long. So now, first I want to introduce Jill Elliott with Steindler Orthopedic Clinic. They were the Division III champions last year. It was really awesome. You know, they were very engaged. One thing I remember, I was at Spike Ball and I was talking with one of her employees, and he came up to me and, you know, we were talking about the events and stuff. And he said one thing that helps them is he set up the standing long jump outside of his office during the virtual track meet. And every time someone walked by, he made them, forced them to participate, but encouraged them to participate. And not only did they get more participation, but he also got to meet more people in the office and get to know them while they were jumping. It wasn't just, hey, jump, do this. It was actually kind of forming a relationship. So that story really stood out to me last year and really helped me see why, you know, Steindler did so well and ended up our Division III champions. So with that, Jill, I will turn it over to you.
Yes, hello, good morning. And I'm laughing because that is very true. That's actually one of our doctors, Dr. Wills, that is very passionate about health and wellness. And I think the first year he participated in every single event. I'm not even kidding. Like the basketball shootout, he may have been the only person there, but he went and his wife was not very happy about it. So, but yeah, I think that's last year. I think we had an advantage being a healthcare facility. We were open, you know, many offices were closing and employees were working from home. Well, we were all here every day and looking for things to do. So we got really creative, and instead of just putting a sign-up sheet in the break room and you know, letting people sign up at their leisure, we actually went around and said, okay, what 1 or 2 activities are you going to try this year? So kind of, you know, encouraging them to participate in something that they'd never done before. I think our team really rallied around the virtual events, and that they didn't have to necessarily be somewhere at a certain time, but enjoyed, you know, getting out in their neighborhood or a local park to do the nature walk or to do the run, or, you know, the biking and things like that. So that I think really worked well for us. And we'll have to try and shift and get those people who are a little more introverted out and wanting to participate in some of those team events. But whatever you can do to make it easy for your team to participate is really what has worked well for us. We have also offered some incentives. So the blood donation is an easy one where I know they usually have little incentives, but we have kind of done stuff to encourage people to participate as well. And I actually couldn't do it without my partner in crime. This is our administrative assistant. Her name's Tracy. And she is really the one that kind of organizes everything and helps to encourage participation. So I think, you know, you can't just do it with one person. Even for us as a small, you know, Division III team, you really need to get a few key people that are interested and passionate and want to show up. And then if you have those folks that are not athletic, get them to volunteer, get them to do the meals, the blood donation, the water challenge, all of those things. So there's something really for everyone.
Thank you, Jill. And as you can see behind them, what's on the line this year.
That's what's up for grabs. That's the hardware there.
Yep. So for new companies, the large trophy is the traveling one. It rotates year to year depending on who wins. And then the little bit smaller one behind it is the one that they get to keep forever. And then you can also see the plaque there. That's for the community challenges, and those you also get to keep too. So a lot of hardware on the line. Thank you, Jill. Best of luck to you guys this year. It's going to be a fun summer, like I've said before. So with that, we will go on to our next slide with our charity partner. I want to just mention that our charity partner for the Corridor Corporate Games is the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital. A portion of all company entry fees are donated to the hospital for general use. Last year, we were able to provide a check for over $3,000 at the award ceremony to the Stead Family Children's Hospital. This year, we plan to do the same thing, and our hope and our plan as of this moment is to have our award ceremony at Fry Fest, similar to 2 years ago. So we're very hopeful we can do that. The plans are in place, so as long as things keep trending the way they are, we will be able to do that at Fry Fest.
Real quick here, Jennifer, got your question. The camera is just for the presenters, so you don't have to worry about your camera. We just have it on for all the presenters.
So just a quick overview of today, what we're going to discuss, briefly go through some of the changes for 2021, it's a little bit of a refresher for returning companies too, then go into some specific information on some of our community challenges and our unique events, go through sport and event information, go through the administrator tools and the admin toolkit, our volunteer component, and then Matt is going to give the rundown of Corporate Games Manager. He knows it super well, so he does a great job explaining it. So, and it will be recorded because there will be, I know we'll have questions, so don't worry. I know it can be tricky to learn at first, but Matt's going to take us through that. And then we will open it up to Q&A at the end. But again, if you have questions for any of our community-based partners, Jesse, Michelle, or Joel at the beginning, feel free to ask those at that point too. All right, so not a ton of changes for 2021. As you know, in 2020, we were forced to add several virtual events due to the pandemic. As Matt said before, we got a lot of great feedback from our company administrators as these allowed more employees to participate than usual. We've kept a handful of them for 2021. Some will be for a duration of time, which could be about a week, and some will be live only. Those details are posted on each event page on our website, and we'll discuss those in more details later in this presentation. But we have kept a few virtual events for 2021. Track and field. As mentioned in last year's admin meeting, we are utilizing athletic.net to submit your track and field rosters. We will have videos posted in the admin toolkit for instructions on how to do this. I will warn you, this might be a little challenging this first year. I wish we could have got to do it last year, and this year would have been super smooth. So once we get it, once we get used to it, it's going to be a feature that you're going to love. This athletic.net allows you to submit your rosters online. It makes us be able to get the heat sheets to you guys quicker, and it allows us to have live results. So shortly after a race is done, you can pull up your phone, open the app, and you'll see live results pretty quickly. Track and field is the only event where we'd require a roster of participants. And again, athletic.net makes this process easier and allows for a quicker turnaround for us. So if you do, we do need you to complete that roster for track and field. And if it is not completed, you will not be allowed to participate in the track meet. So my one suggestion for this is to utilize the sport captain feature. We will talk about this later, but let an employee or employees that are super interested in track and field kind of manage your track and field roster and manage that athletic.net piece. It'll take a little bit of the load off of your plate, and they'll be passionate about it, so they'll want to put effort into it and make sure things are getting submitted. This is the athletic.net information we're not going to send out right away. We'll have that to you in a couple of weeks once we get the meets up and going and let your employees kind of get into Corporate Games Manager a little bit. And that way, then we can just strictly focus on that athletic.net piece. So in a later date, you will get an email from athletic.net to join your club, and then your club will be joined to a track meet. So again, it will be a little tricky at first, but that'll come probably late April is my guess on when we'll get that sent out. My other suggestion for that is to get your team page set up right away and not wait until the week of the track meet, because then if we have login issues and things like that, it could get a little tricky. So as soon as those are sent out, please get us into athletic.net as quick as you can and get that team page set up. But again, more information will come on that at a later date. Our first community-based challenge that we're going to talk about is the Blood Donation Challenge. The Corporate Games Blood Donation Challenge is partnering with the Mississippi Valley Regional Blood Center and DeGowan Blood Center at the University of Iowa. This is to help increase blood donations during the summer, as a time when it is typically a little bit lower. This challenge doesn't award participation points, but is instead a completely separate award, kind of what one that you saw in Jill's background, the plaque there. So it's a great opportunity for companies that show a commitment to the community and another chance to win one of those corporate games awards. Participants can begin donating May 1, and this allows participants to donate twice throughout the games. With that, I will turn it over to Michelle and Jesse.
Good morning. My name is Michelle and I'm with the Mississippi Valley Regional Blood Center, and we have Jesse with DeGowan Blood Center out of the University of Iowa Hospitals. Thank you so much for joining today, and thank you so much for your interest in the games. It's going to be really fun. So first of all, why participate in the Blood Donation Challenge? It's obviously something good for the community, and secondly, it's just really needed right now. The pandemic has had a huge impact on everything, and blood donation is nothing different. So we have seen a lot of blood drives being canceled through this last year. A lot of people a little nervous about coming out and donating blood. So we really need your support. Really, this whole year, most of our blood supply has been kind of in a urgent or critical need. So so this is a great opportunity to kind of kickstart blood donation throughout the summer, which is traditionally a tough time for us anyway. And it's a great opportunity to get your employees involved in something really, really great for the community. So a little bit about DeGowan and the Mississippi Valley Blood Center. We are the local providers for the hospitals, and we provide blood for cancer patients, surgeries, traumas. And I always say blood is kind of like a parachute. If it's not there when you need it, it's too late. So encourage your employees, your coworkers to be that parachute for the patients that need it. Now I'm going to pass it on to Jesse, who will talk a little bit about how to set up some of those blood donation drives or donations into our centers.
All right, thank you. Yeah, like she said, my name is Jessie. I'm the blood drive coordinator for DeGowan, and I will be your contact along with Michelle if you're interested in organizing a blood drive or just donating information on how to donate. We'll give you well, we have a lot of your contact information, so you might be hearing a lot from us if you haven't already about setting up a blood drive with your business to be part of this. Of course, if you organize a blood drive, anyone and everyone that comes to donate gets counted towards the credit to your business. People can come in and donate individually. They just have to mention that they are donating for the corporate games and what business they're affiliated with. And then Michelle and I will keep track of all of that information as it kind of goes on from May 1st to July 31st and give that information so we can award the Blood Donation Challenge Award at hopefully Fry Fest. It is good to note that this challenge actually starts May 1st. So it is 1 month early. We are actually, and we know there's concerns with the pandemic currently going on. Michelle and I wanted to let everyone know that those that are getting vaccinated, if it is the FDA approved vaccinations like Moderna or Pfizer, that is not a deferral. You're still eligible to donate. And so something to keep in mind as we are getting a lot of questions with that. Of course, we are doing a bunch of different practices to ensure everyone is staying safe during this time. Whether it be social distancing, finding alternative locations. We're happy to work with some of the community spaces that we're able to do blood drives in and connect with sponsors that way. If you don't want us coming into the business or a business, and then Mississippi Valley, they also have a mobile bus. So for any of those that might be a little more concerned about the pandemic and making sure that is our highest priority. And so we've been doing blood drives. The need for blood never stops. Michelle and I, we've had to continue on doing blood drives throughout this whole entire pandemic. And we have found just great ways to keep everyone safe. And so if you're interested, please feel free to reach out. Note that interest when you sign up on the Corridor Corporate Games website, and we'll be in touch to get a blood drive set up for you. Michelle, anything else to add?
No, just to add on to what Jesse said, we are being super creative to work with you guys to whatever works for you. So if we are able to come on site, great. If your employees are working remotely, we can set up, I don't know if DeGowan's similar, where we set up kind of days or weeks for your employees, say like, you know, Steinler week at the Blood Center to encourage your employees to come in that way. And like Jesse said, a bus too, if you know, still coming inside is doesn't work for you guys. So we're being super creative just to keep the blood supply in good shape for our community.
Thank you both. Absolutely. I will send out an email with both of their contact information so that you'll all have that after or towards the end of the meeting. I'll send that out. So if you have any specific questions and want to email either of them directly, you can. So thank you both again. We appreciate this. It's another fun partnership, and looking forward to the blood donation challenge this summer. With that, we'll go on to the Meals from the Heartland challenge. All right, so the Meals from the Heartland challenge is another community-based opportunity for your company to get involved with a great local cause. It's very similar to the blood donation challenge. There's no points awarded, but it's a separate award as part of the Corridor Corporate Games. These awards again the awards are presented for the most volunteers packing meals in each division. With that, I will turn it over to Joel with Meals from the Heartland.
Good morning, everyone. So we're an Iowa-based nonprofit, and we've been coming over to the Cedar Rapids area. We're calling this our 4th annual Cedar Rapids Hunger Fight. Again, the dates are going to be June 10, 11, and 12, and at the Doubletree Convention Complex. We've been packaging meals basically during this whole pandemic. These are life-sustaining meals, so we are an essential business, and the need obviously has only grown during this pandemic, with food insecurity being very rising daily. So we've always been antivirus. Sorry for the dad joke, but I had to throw that in. We've been doing our main safety measures are face masks. We've limited the number of participants at every packaging station by about 50%, just asking people who are not feeling well to stay home. And those have actually worked very, very well for us. We've kept all of our volunteers and staff safe during this whole pandemic. So like I said, we've changed a few things, and they have worked very, very well. The sign up, I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully this goes well. Is very, very simple. So here's the main page of the Corridor Games. Here's our the Meals from the Heartland challenge. So if you just click on that, it's going to take you to another page. The signups, I'm going to tell you, for this event go live on May 4th, Star Wars Day, by the way. So it's there won't be anything on this page, but I'm going to open up our web page that will, if you click on that button, see if it loads accurately. So here's our Cedar Rapids Hunger Fight page, taken from, this was our event in last November. So eventually you'll be able to click on this button on that, again, May 4th, the registration will go live. You will click on there, and then it will prompt you how to sign up. So you'll be able to sign up groups very easily. So we have all these different time slots. We'll start probably on Thursday afternoon. The majority of the packaging will happen on Friday, and then maybe one shift on Saturday morning. I'll tell you, the busiest shifts are the evening time slots. Those will fill up the quickest. Here's some basic information. Our system is not very intuitive, so that's why there's some written instructions. We'll make sure that is correct. Try to use this when you sign up. There's a spot for a team name. So if you can put in CCG and then dash your company name, that just helps us to know what people you're with, and we always try to have people package together who may have signed up on 2 different registrations. For some companies, it might not work for you on that June 10, 11, and 12. So we also have a mobile opportunity where we could come to your company. There is a funding component to that based on just 25 cents per meal. We do ask for that there be a minimum of 30,000 meals that for us to travel essentially from our West Des Moines warehouse over to Cedar Rapids. So that'd be for a $7,500 donation. It just increases the participation. If we come to you, there's going to be a higher participation rate. You can maximize your impact and minimize your downtime. Typically, we'll have a 1-hour shift. People can, this works great for people who have call centers and things like that, where their employees can't all leave at the same time. We can set up 2 or 3 packaging lines in a fairly small space. And these are available Monday through Saturday. It's by appointment only, so sometimes I'm booked, and there's only three people on my team that do these mobile events. So we take Sundays off, so we'll be available on a Sunday. So it's super easy. Again, we'll have about 600 volunteer spots available. You can sign up as a single, or you can sign up as up to, there's going to be about 55 spots per shift. So you can definitely sign up for 1 to 55. So it's a great team building. Our events tend to get a little competitive, especially if there's 2 groups kind of trying to determine who could package the most meals during their shift. It's fun to watch teams kind of compete against this. We're all on the same team. We're trying to fight hunger. We're going to eventually donate about 200,000 meals to HACAP right after the event is over. So these Taco Mac meals are going to be staying right there local in Cedar Rapids to help fight hunger right there in your local community. So I'll leave you with this, that it's people who serve others are lead happier and healthier lives. Not only are you helping yourself, but you're also helping, or not only are you helping others, but you're also helping yourself when you donate. So we just love being able to provide this opportunity for you to give back to your own community right there in the corridor. So with that, I'm drinking the cup, seize the cup. We'll see you guys in June.
Thank you, Joel. Yes, we've done the Meals from the Heartland, or as our staff, we went to the Des Moines Center and done it, and it's super competitive. And Matt and I had to be on the same team, or it could have got pretty ugly. Matt and my team definitely won, so I do have to put that out there.
We had a good system down. We're getting pretty good at that.
Exactly.
All right. So, like Kyle mentioned earlier, if you're a seasoned veteran now with the corporate games as an admin, we know you have busy schedules and are ready to get going. Corporate games manager is open. We just double checked, make sure it was ready to go. And so feel free to, you can stick around for the presentation if you would like, or you can go ahead and get moving on corporate games manager. So, but we will continue on here with the rest of the presentation.
So, and just to touch on that, if you had an account last year, it's open, it's ready to go for you. You can log in, you'll have admin access. If you are not an admin last year, have never had an account, or a new company, you'll get an email from me later in the meeting or after the meeting with a link to join Corporate Games Manager. So, and that may go to your junk or spam folder. If you don't get it, I'd say by noon or within an hour of the meeting ending, just shoot me an email and I'll work with you on getting, make sure you get access today and can get going on that. So with that, who we have eligible to participate. The games is open for your full and part-time and regular employees that are based in the Cedar Rapids and Iowa City area. We do also allow interns and retirees to compete. Several events are family friendly, and some events do require a fee to the organizer, such as the road race with Coralville's Fourth Fest, but many events like the fitness walks and cycling tour rides require no fees. Those details will be posted on each event page on the website. Here's a quick overview of our sport calendar for the year. It is pretty much finalized. So we hope not to change it weekly again, kind of like last year. That was no fun for anybody. So we're hoping this one stays far more set. But all of this is posted on the website, and there is specific division calendars that's specific to the division that your company is. Those are posted as well, and you can download those and share. But those division specific ones make it so that the main calendar seems a little less daunting. So speaking of the website, I cannot stress enough how important the site is for information on each Corporate Games event. In most cases, the website can answer any questions that your employees will have, from the time, location, when the schedule will be available, the approximate time needed to participate. The event pages are designed to answer any of the common questions that we've received over the years. We will also keep the rules pages updated with any changes in protocols related to COVID-19. If questions come up that cannot be answered online, we're always happy to help. And it might even lead to us adding more information to put on the website.
All right, so we're going to take a few minutes to go through the event types that are offered for the Corridor Corporate Games. Several individual events are offered, including both the competitive and non-competitive. Of course, we also have some virtual events as well now. Events that have unlimited participation require no intervention on the part of the employee or administrator to let us know how many people will be attending. We just ask that employees declare interest for events that they're interested in Corporate Games Manager. And we use that information then to tell us roughly how many people to expect, and that's helpful for planning for those in-person events. And there is no penalty for the no-shows for these events unless specified in the rules. And I just looking at the list, I don't believe there's any on there that would have a penalty if someone were to say they're coming, but they didn't show. We do offer several participation events, such as our fitness walk, cycling and yoga. And then in addition to the in-person events, we have several virtual non-competitive events too. Most of our virtual events listed have a time window, as Cal mentioned earlier, basically Monday through Friday of a given week. And that's when during that time is when you can complete the events and earn points. This allows employees to do these events on their own schedule, which is a great way to involve everyone at the office. That was one of the big things, the feedback we got last year was we were getting people involved that normally wouldn't be able to participate. So definitely encourage your employees to get involved in all these events. They're a great way to get everybody involved, and they can be worth a lot of points if you can get people out to the fitness walk or the nature walk. It's an easy thing to do. Little things people have done. They say, show up at this time, we'll do a group picture, and then you can walk as a group, bring your friends and family. It's just a good time that way. Some other events on here that we've got our Learn and Earn webinars. That's just a virtual, not in person. Sorry, sorry me off a little bit. For the non-competitive second half there, the Learn and Earn webinars are a series of webinars that focus on health and wellness topics, and these will last around 30 minutes each. Last year we couldn't do them live just because of limitations on numbers, but we do have the ability to watch them live this year. We still have some limitations using Zoom. It's not as small as what it was. We can take quite a few people on it. So pretty much anybody who wants to watch it live will be able to, but we're also going to record the webinars, and employees will have a set length of time to register and watch the webinars afterwards in order to earn company points. The employees who are participating live will have the opportunity to ask questions during the presentations as well, which is something nice for this year that we can do. More information on these webinars can be found on the Corporate Games website. And the competitive events that are listed, those are age group based. Corporate Games Manager will only show employees the age group they're eligible for when they declare interest. So that's something important for people to know, as long as they have their birth date in correctly. And the age that determines the participant's age varies per event. Generally, looking at this list, it should be the day of the event for all of them. So it should be pretty clear for people with that. And most of these events allow an unlimited number of participants, and track and field, as you can see down there, is the one exception to that, where it's not unlimited. Speaking of track and field, kind of reiterate what we were talking about earlier, there's a limit on the number of participants each company can provide, which is 2 men and 2 women per age group, except for the 50+ age group, which allows 4 men and 4 women. This year, we will be, as we talked about, we'll be utilizing athletic.net to submit team rosters. It really will be a good thing to be able to set your rosters and allow our timer to download this list much easier than what we've done in the past. As Kyle mentioned, in a few weeks, we'll get an email out to get your account set up. And if you were a participating company last year, we'd started down the road for this process, I do believe, so you would have the same credentials as last year, but we'll make sure that gets sent to you. And then each company will have a team page activated in athletic.net, and that team has been invited to participate in our track meet. Rather than go through all this, like we talked about, we will have a tutorial. It's on the website in our admin toolkit. We'll get some information out a little bit later. That'll show you how to add coaches, putting that in print or in quotes. That's what it's called, because it is a track and field site. So basically, sport captains, they can put people on the team, modify the rosters. We'll show you how to upload participants, get them into their events. It works pretty simple. It took us a little bit, to get used to it, but it works pretty well once you know how to do it. The roster edits will be allowed up until Friday, June 25th at 5 p.m. At that point, we'll be downloading the rosters and getting everything into the heats, and then we should be able to put out heat sheets either that night or on Saturday morning for the Sunday meet. And then on the day of the meet, participants will just check in as they normally would, but they'll already be able to see what heats they're in for the different events and everything else. And I just want to reiterate too, submitting accurate rosters is really important. If you make a mistake, we won't be able to make changes on site. The track meet gets a little crazy. There's a lot of people involved, a lot of moving parts, and so we just have to kind of say no to that. We try to be really flexible. That's one thing that we just can't do, and because we know it'll cause errors and cause issues down the road. So please double check, make sure your rosters are accurate. Again, if you have a no-show, there's no penalty for that. So if someone had signed up and something happens between Friday night and Sunday morning and they can't participate, don't worry about it. We just scratch them from the event. Not a big deal. But yeah, please make sure those rosters are accurate, and do make sure that you submit one. We've had in the past where a company planned to participate just with the relay team, but they didn't submit anything. And so we weren't able to get them into the events. And so that's something we hate to see. We don't want to have that happen, where employees show up the day of the meet and we don't have them anywhere listed. So do make sure that you get a roster put up. If you're having troubles with it, like Kyle said, let us know. Try to look at it before that week, just make sure you know how it works, just to help us out too. Makes it a little bit easier. We can take some time to help you out. But we want to make sure it's working for everybody. So again, Kyle said, use the sport captain feature, allow somebody who's really into wanting to put that track meet together, put that team together, to let them kind of handle that. That'll definitely take it off your plate.
On to team sports. Team sports do have a limit on the number of participants per company team, as well as a limit on the number of teams per company. Our sport roster limits, deadlines, and schedule availability document outlines this information. You can find that document in the admin toolkit on our website. For scheduling purposes, we also have a deadline for each team event where each company tells us yes or no as to whether or not the company will be providing a team. These deadlines are set on Wednesdays, roughly 2 weeks before each team sport takes place. We then post a schedule online by that Friday at 5 p.m. Company admins are emailed that the schedules are available and directed to the website to download a copy. So having the schedules available a couple weeks in advance allows companies to be close enough to that date of an event to know whether or not they have enough interest for a team, but also far enough away from the event for participating employees to see the schedule and plan accordingly. We do not ask for team rosters from companies for any other event than track and field. All we need to know is whether or not you have a team. That allows you to make changes at the last minute without having to let our staff know the change. Knowing you have a team that will be participating is enough information for us. All that matters on our end is that employees show up and play and they have their account set up and is active with the waiver agreed to in Corporate Games Manager. Our virtual events work a little bit differently than the in-person team events. The scavenger hunt doesn't have a limit in the number of employees that can participate. I won't go into all the details as you can find those on our website, but basically just one employee needs to go to a location to earn company points. What makes it virtual is that the clues are released online and on social media, and employees work together in the background to determine where the clues lead to and who should go and scan the QR code. For Name That Tune, it'll work very similar to the in-person trivia event. A lot of you may have participated in that last year and had a lot of fun, but teams are limited in size. There is no schedule for this event, and we will send out a pin for each company to access an online answer sheet specific to your company prior to the competition. So you'll just enter that pin at the start of the competition. And then Burst Your Thirst, I'm going to go in further details on in just a few minutes here. So here's an example of the sport rosters, limits, deadlines, and schedule availability document that you'll find on the admin toolkit. It lists the roster limits for each event, the date that we need to know if you'll have a team or not, and when the schedule will be available. It also defines the difference between co-ed and open divisions, which is a common question that we get throughout the summer.
So employees will check in at every event. We've kind of mentioned that a little bit. Any event that they attend will have a check-in set up for. And this allows us to confirm, as Kyle mentioned, that the corporate games waiver has been agreed to, as well as assist us in reporting attendance at events. For events like the fitness walk and for Sunrise Yoga, the check-in is necessary to earn company points. Event attendance information will be available to your companies as well with that. And the nice thing is, this is something we started last year. If you recall, we had an online check-in system. Basically, this is all now tied to the website, and so it's online, it's mobile. Participants can check in on one of the devices that we'll have provided. We'll have some tablets there, or they can just scan the QR code. And if you are a return admin, you've been in your account already as we're talking, you can scan that with your phone right now. That is a live QR code, and so that'll give you an opportunity to test the system if you haven't used it before. But these QR codes will be used for both in-person and virtual events. For the virtual events, we just post the QR code at the appropriate times on our website. And this will include the Learn and Earn webinars. We'll put that right in the webinar for people to go ahead and check in. We also have a link posted for those who do not have smartphones that are checking in for the virtual events. Of course, if they don't at the in-person events, they can just come and talk to one of the volunteers and get checked in that way. So as long as the employee has a current account in Corporate Games Manager, it's really easy to check in. Even if they haven't been in their account all year, it'll just give them the opportunity to agree to the waiver. If they don't have an account set up, that's where it takes a little bit longer, because then they have to set up an account. So we definitely encourage people, we definitely stress this, to set up an account ahead of time. Even if they haven't checked or declared interest in an event, at least have that account in there, and then it'll automatically hook them into the event that they're checking in for. Company administrators, as I mentioned earlier, with this being online, you'll be able to pull your own reports on employee attendance at the different events. And I'll show you how to do this when you get to talk about Corporate Games Manager in our reports menu. And I definitely recommend doing this at the end of the year, and you can save a report for everything just in one Excel file. And that's kind of nice to have as you were to go into, say, 2022, then you've got a list of who did which events or who had interest in which events. And that's a good way to get a jump start on the next year.
Burst Your Thirst Challenge. This is administered through Live Healthy Iowa. Registration will open on May 10th. Participants will need to register through the Live Healthy Iowa site. Companies form their own teams, but the team aspect isn't as important for the corporate games side of it. You can use the teams internally if you wish to have your own competition amongst employees. Company admins will receive a group ID and subsidy code around May 10th from me that makes the activity free when participants register. Make sure that when you advertise the challenge, you include the group ID and subsidy code so participants do not get charged. Flyers will be available for print and will be able to be customized to include your specific group ID and subsidy code. Everyone who signs up will receive a water bottle to use during the Burst Your Thirst Challenge. This water bottle will be packaged by team and by company and available to pick up at the Nature Walk, which is Sunday, June 6th, I believe this year. While we encourage everyone to participate in the Nature Walk, companies can have a designated employee pick up water bottles for multiple teams. So you can send someone to pick up for a certain amount of teams, your entire company, whatever you want to do with that at the Nature Walk. Feel free to communicate with us if you want to pick up for your entire company. And we can try and have those pre-packaged for you, so it's a quick process with pickup. I will say that that way is probably a little bit easier for us on our end with the water bottle pickup. So if you have any specific Burst Your Thirst Challenge questions, feel free to ask me. It's a great way to get everybody from your company involved. It can be done right from your desk. All they have to do is log their water consumption throughout the summer. And as long as they record 5 of the 6 weeks, they're helping your team and your company earn more points. So then again, any questions on Burst Your Thirst, feel free to reach out to me. Volunteers are another way to get people involved in the corporate games that might not be your super competitive types. So volunteer needs, they consist of tasks such as athlete check-in at corporate games events, assistance with directing participants at the road race, scorekeeping at 3-on-3 basketball, any of those types of things. So no special knowledge of any specific event is required. They're doing a lot of the athlete check-in, and we can easily train them on site prior to the event. So it's super simple, great, easy way to earn points. Volunteering is not required for every company. Those companies that agree to provide volunteers will be rewarded with volunteer points. Volunteer points are worth more than participation points. Each company that agrees to provide volunteers will be given required spots to fill. This number is consistent across your company division so that every company in that division has the opportunity to earn the same amount of volunteer points. One way to earn extra points is to provide bonus volunteers. For example, if your company has 2 required spots at a certain event, you can bring an additional 1 or 2 to earn additional points. Please do not send 30 volunteers to fill 2 spots. So when we get into Corporate Games Manager, we'll show you where you can officially list if your company is providing volunteers. We'll use those answers to determine the number of volunteers needed per company division, and so how many spots you'll need to fill. Through Corporate Games Manager, companies will be able to select their top 5 preferences for events that they'd like to volunteer at. There's no guarantee that your company will receive your preferred events. We will use those preferences to assign volunteer spots. Those preferences are time-stamped, so the sooner you submit your preferences, the more likely your company is to get those preferred events. Preferences are due April 30th. You can do it before any in Corporate Games Manager, but we ask that you have those in by April 30th so we can begin assigning tasks to companies within a few days of that. Employees will be able to show their interest in volunteering in their user profile, and admins can assign volunteer spots to employees right inside Corporate Games Manager. Family members can also volunteer alongside employees and count towards the required volunteers. This is the only time employees' family members and friends can earn points for their company. In the past, we've added additional opportunities for volunteering and let admins know by email. The response has been great, but a little overwhelming. So now what we do is we've added the ability for companies to claim open spots through Corporate Games Manager and then assign those spots to employees and friends or family. Matt's going to show you more on this when we get into Corporate Games Manager, but you must be participating in the volunteer program in order to claim additional spots.
And Roxanne, saw your question there about is the 2 volunteers required per company. You're looking at Division 3, I imagine there. That would basically be any company in that division that has said yes, will assign 2 spots at a maximum, which we do them in pairs. So it'll be 2 volunteers per company that says yes to participating in that. All right, so we're going to get into some admin tools here. I'm going to pull up our website in just a second. Oops, sorry, I'm pressing the wrong button.
So here's some of the things we're going to talk about with the admin toolkit while Matt gets our website pulled up, but we'll go through the admin manuals up there, the point system, that roster limit and deadlines and availability document that I was talking about, and then we'll go through some customized promotional materials as well. So all those are available to help you. I strongly encourage you when the meeting is done to just go to that admin toolkit and look at these documents. They'll be super helpful for you as you start planning for the corporate games this summer. So first we'll go into the point system.
Can you see the screen, Kyle?
Yep.
Okay.
I got the admin toolkit.
Yep.
There we go. Now we got the point system up. So this document has the point system for every single corporate games event that's going to take place this summer, how many points you can earn by participating, and by placing in the top 4 of certain events, you get more points that are stacked on. So I'm not going to go into each event. You can see all that and how much, which events are worth X amount of points. Burst Your Thirst is there. It's a little bit different, so you can see that one. And then one thing is the volunteer points. That's on there as well. And then the one thing I do want to touch on is the penalty points. So there's 2 occasions where you can get have penalty points for your company. The first is if you declare a team and they do not show up for the event. So if you declare a tug of war team and the day of the event, they don't show up, then you are deducted 250 points. If you are in Corporate Games Manager, if you've declared that you're not going to have a team, then you won't be penalized anything. It's only when you declare a team and they don't show up. The other time is when, same thing for volunteer penalty points. If you're assigned the volunteer assignments and you claim them or you're assigned them and you don't show up for those, same thing. That's the only other time where penalty points occur in the corporate games.
And if you're having trouble filling your volunteer spots, let us know in advance. Give us a couple weeks at least, and we can work that out with you. We can try to find other companies to help with that. We definitely want the volunteers there, so our goal is to make sure that we have some people there to help and everything. So we don't want to do penalty points on that if we don't have to, of course. So just let us know, and we'll try and work with you. We definitely want to encourage companies to provide volunteers. It's been a pretty good part of the games.
Yep. You go to the roster limit one next. The only reason for penalty points is, if you've been to a sporting event and the bracket gets changed and the team doesn't show up, it's not as enjoyable. So that's the reason why we do that. We want to encourage, companies to be there and make those brackets as full and as fun as possible. But this is the document I've been talking about quite a bit. As you can see, each column, we got the sporting event on the far left, the team limits in the second column, the minimum roster in the third column, the minimum number of people you'll need for a team, the maximum number people you can list on your team. That company deadline is when you need to let us know if you'll be having a team, yes or no. And then the last one is when the schedule will be available and posted by 5 p.m. on that date. And then we can just go down towards the promotional materials. So you can also see the sport and event calendars on there, but then the promotional materials, we have some examples for you to use that's going to help you with your marketing efforts throughout the summer. Those are customizable too, so you can enter your specific company code for employees to go into Corporate Games Manager and register. So it's super helpful. You can see all the events that might, so they can see, bags, nature walk, road race, I'm interested in those, and go into Corporate Games Manager and start declaring interest in those events. We also have a sample email there that you can use to customize to send out to your employees. Very helpful so they know that they're participating, they're in this division, these are events that are taking place. So feel free to use that and modify it that's best fit for your company. And you can enter your company name, company code, all those things. So it's specific to your company.
It is just a template. If you want to change the verbiage, you certainly can. We have it in there as a Word document just to give you a starting point.
And then we have a link to a Dropbox folder on there with InDesign files that are all, so you can customize everything for your company. And then you have our logos there as well. Feel free to use those as you need in that folder. You will need InDesign for a lot of those documents. So if you have a marketing team or someone like that with InDesign, they'll be able to customize those. And it even has graphics for TV screens in there. So lots of things for you to use to help promote the games to your employees. So on to communications. This is another admin tool that we offer, and that's weekly communications that go to both all the participants and the company admins. So if your company admins ever change, please let me know, and I can update our list to get them on our admin email list. So each Monday, 2 emails will go out. One that goes to all participants who have an account in Corporate Games Manager for this year and have agreed to the waiver and everything. That email will recap the previous week's events, has details and reminders for upcoming events, and include that all-important company leaderboard. The second email is specific to company administrators, which is you. And that will include reminders on upcoming deadlines and any important event details. These emails are sent through our Robly marketing email system. So we have sent out a few, like we sent out our division announcements email a couple weeks ago. That was through Robly. If you did not receive that, please let me know. We'll also check with admins in the coming weeks as we begin sending update emails to make sure they're being received. There's also an employee news section where you can post your own kind of communications in Corporate Games Manager. We will go through that. But the big thing with this is if you're not receiving those, make sure you're checking your junk or spam folder. And then it might also be something with your IT where they need to make sure our domain is whitelisted. I'm not an IT technology guru. Matt's definitely better with this stuff, but we can definitely work to get things figured out. So to make sure all your employees are receiving these emails.
Yeah, I don't know it as well as Kyle wants to say I do, but I do know that it's usually like our @corridorcorporategames.org domain or things like that. So you can always put us in touch with an IT person if we need to and work with them to make sure that your employees can get the emails. And Kyle mentioned the news section. We do post a link to the employee email in that news section on Corporate Games Manager as well. So there's another way that people can see it there and or pass along that link to other employees. All right, so company apparel, Kyle mentioned earlier, showed that we have our logo in the corporate game or the admin toolkit. People ask us all the time if they can use our logo on their shirts if you want to do team shirts. Absolutely. It's great for us. It's walking billboards. It's good. It's good marketing and so it's great for us. But on top of that, having employee shirts is just another great thing that you can offer to employees to participate. It helps you to identify each other, especially if you're in a company that not everybody knows each other. So it helps when they go to an event, whether it be a team or team event or even just the fitness walk, so that people can get together and get to know each other. For the team events, I can say it really helps us because when things are busy, we're running around and we know such and such team we're looking for, we know their shirts. It makes it easier to find them and tell them that they're up on court 2 or something like that. So we definitely like them. And it's good promotion for your organization. You know, those pictures that you see on the screen, those are the types of pictures that we put on social media. Makes it easy for us to tag your organization, and you can share it out there and let people know what kind of fun your company's having. So we definitely encourage it. It's not required. They don't have to have numbers for, say, 3-on-3 basketball. That gets asked occasionally. We don't anything like that, but a good shirt to have is always nice. And if you're participating in the mud volleyball tournament, it might be good to have 2 shirts, just so you have one that you can get dirty too. All right, so we're going to dig into Corporate Games Manager here now, get into the website a little bit. But basically, here's kind of a rundown of the things that we're going to talk about today when we go through this. We will go through in detail. In general, just to let you know, the site it's easy to use. It's pretty intuitive. We've built it that way on purpose. There's multiple ways to do certain actions. We've learned over time that some people would prefer to do it a certain way, and so we've added those methods to make it a little bit easier. And I'll go through some of the different ways that you can do everything on the website here. So let me get that pulled back up, and we will start. Basically, if you're a new admin and you haven't been in the system yet, like Kyle had mentioned, after this meeting, we have to manually send the invites to get in, and that'll automatically give you admin access on the site. And so what that email will look like is this email. I've got myself set up with another account, and I will say this never works exactly the way it should work for you because I have a few too many accounts in the system, but we'll go through and show you how it generally looks. But anyway, you're going to get an email that looks like just saying that you've been invited to join. And again, as Kyle mentioned, if you don't get that email within, say the first hour and a half, at least by noon, please reach out and let us know, and we will get you set up. It does happen occasionally just with spam filters and whatnot. So right away, it's going to ask you to go ahead and put in your information. Like I said, mine gets a little screwy because I'm in the system already a few different ways. It does require an 8-character password. So for me, the last name to do these quick ones does not work. And this is basically the information. All your employees are going to have to put in this information here. We just asked for some basic details: first name, last name, date of birth, gender. We need the date of birth and the gender for the age group specific events. So that's why we ask that information. We try not to ask too much info. We really don't want this information for any other reason. So, and then of course the username is going to be the email address that they're signing up with, and that will go then onto our list for the weekly updates. We really don't use it for anything else. And then the volunteer part at the bottom there, that's a simple yes or no question that employees will answer. And if they say they're interested in volunteer opportunities, that'll help. We'll show you a little bit later here, but that'll help give you some knowledge as to who is interested in volunteering, so you can directly reach out to them to fill volunteer spots. So I will save that. And you see the dashboard up here. This is where employees go to log in. This is where they'll set up an account initially. A normal employee. This is where I always have a little bit of trouble because of my multiple accounts. I'm just going to log in through my system admin account and squeeze over here. Give me 1 second. My bottom tab is gone that I need. There it is. Another nice feature is that for us as system admins, if people are having trouble, we can sign in as anybody, and that'll help. So this is what you'll all have to sign in for the first time. And when you do, it's going to bring you up to the waiver screen. You can look through that waiver, pretty standard liability waiver. Once you hit agree, now you're active in the system. And it may ask you to do some of this again, hopefully not, but it definitely does for me. I'm just re-inputting my information here. All right, and so as the first company admin that gets into your account, whether you're new or existing, it should take you to the edit organization screen. It won't take you directly to your dashboard. This is a one-time feature for the beginning of the year. And we do this on purpose because we want you to see your company's information as we have it in here. It'll show what division your company is in. It'll show your company code. This is an important code that you will need, or your employees will need. And we can show you here what it looks like for a new user to register an account. When they put in their information, in order for us to attach them to the company properly, since you're getting an invite, you're already attached to your company, but your employees won't be. And so they'll just be coming in as a general person. And so in order for them to get attached to their company, they'll put in the company code. And when they type that in, it'll alert them if it's a good company code. It'll show up with a green highlight around it and say what company it is, so they'll get some feedback to let them know that it's a proper company. But so if we do get asked a lot, what is our company code? It's on your manage organization screen. You'll always be able to find it in Corporate Games Manager. And you'll also have to answer the question, would you like to provide volunteers? Everybody did this when you signed up your company initially. That was just for us to kind of, as an information gathering as we planned the volunteer opportunities for the summer. Now is where you officially tell us yes or no. So if you had said no initially and you want to say yes now, you can certainly do that. But once you select that, it will stay locked in the system. I think we can change that later if you made a mistake on it, but you will need to answer that question, and it'll give an additional volunteer menu then on the side that I'll show you in a little bit. The questions here that you can ask, ignore those. Those are for something else on here, but you can ask questions for your employees, such as what is your t-shirt size? That's a pretty common one that gets asked. You can ask for a cell phone number or a phone number, additional contact information beyond the email address. You can put all these in here, and then when employees are signing up, they'll have that ability to answer those questions as well, and you'll be able to see the answers. So I'm gonna put in there, what's your t-shirt size? And now we're set up. I'm gonna have a question though now that I haven't answered, since that was not on there initially when I set up. So it's important to go through and do this right away for your before you have employees get in the system. This is just a good way to make sure you're all organized before anybody gets in. And so you can see now on here, I have the ability to put in a t-shirt size. These are all open-ended questions and not required, other than the fact that we have a little dialogue on the screen there. So most people are going to go ahead and answer that, which is a good thing. You may have to check with people if they haven't, and they can put anything in there. We've kept them pretty general on purpose, just so you can ask any type of question you'd like. All right, so now I'm on my dashboard. And this is what all of your employees will see. Company admins, of course, are a little bit different. You get this company administrator menu on the left here that your employees won't see. And then on the right, where it says report center for events, they will see something a little bit different than this. They'll also have a button up here that says contact company administrator. And that's helpful if you have employees that are in the system. Maybe they got signed up, another employee showed them how to do it, but they have no idea who the company admin is and they have questions. Now they'll be able to click a button and a little dialog box will come up that they can basically send you an email through that system. And so we found that to be pretty helpful too. That way we don't have as many questions. Who is our company admin? Who do I need to reach out to? So, so you've got the menu on the side. We'll go through that in a little bit here. A lot of different options there. The overview, there's news from our staff. This information is something that's on everybody's dashboard. We post up there. I'll show you in a little bit too how to put your own news that would show up underneath. It'll show you your events, any volunteer assignments. If you're a sport captain, it'll show you some of those things as well, or if an employee is a sport captain. And it does too, just to make sure, there's always that double check, make sure you're signed up for the right company. We've had some that affiliated companies that maybe are in the same building that are participating in corporate games, but separately. And so we've had a few issues where people are signed up through the wrong company. So that's pretty important to make sure people are with the right organization. Generally not a problem, but it has come up before. So going through this menu on the left here, I've got my info. Again, that's the information I went to before, t-shirt size, everything else there. Now the sign up for events. This is where it'll show every event that I am eligible to participate in as a Division I company, and then my age and gender group as well. So you can see I've got my age group there for those events, and then team events that might be gender specific. I'm eligible for the co-ed team and the men's team. So it doesn't show me the women's bowling team, which is nice. Oh, good catch there, Nick. Kyle, it looks like we got a little typo on the site, so have to fix that for dodgeball. All right, so I'm going to sign up for a few events. And the nice thing is they can all be done fairly quickly through here. You can just do a checkbox. Employees can always go back in and add events. And as the events happen throughout the summer, they will disappear off this list. So you won't have employees sign up for events that have already happened, which is nice. So now that I signed up for the events, some events have a question attached to them. And this is a way for you to help organize sport captains, is what we've done. Any event that might, be a team event that could use some assistance putting something together, as far as the team, or for example, like say bowling, if you are trying to build your best team, you might ask what their average is if they're a regular bowler. So these are all, they're not required questions. They're all open-ended, just like the custom questions we saw earlier. So I'm just gonna show an example there, say yes on one of those, and then hit save, and now it's saved. And so now on my dashboard, it shows me all of those events that I declared interest for. And we do call it declaring interest on purpose, because with those team sports, as we've talked about, you'd be putting teams together. And so under bags, bowling, mud volleyball, golf, it says pending. I'm not technically entered in those events until someone puts me on those teams. Now for the cross country race, for fitness walk, yoga, all those are limited events, automatically entered. I got a green check mark, says I'm ready to go. So there is some feedback on the screen for employees to be able to see where they're at, with their status for the events. Continuing on in the dashboard, real quick though, while I'm here, you can remove yourself very easily from an event. That's a pretty easy thing to do. That can be helpful when putting teams together. I'll show you a little bit later, but if they are on it, if you assign someone to a team, they won't be able to remove themselves directly anymore. We do that on purpose, just for communication purposes, that you don't want to put together a team and then 3 people remove themselves and you didn't know. So we definitely try to make that a little bit easier for the company admins or the sport captains. So on the dashboard again, on the left here, Burst Your Thirst dashboard. This button won't actually work for me because I'm not on my regular Live Healthy Iowa account. But the idea is here that for Burst Your Thirst, to make it easier to go record, it's just kind of like a little tunnel between accounts for different websites. And so if it doesn't work properly, you do get this screen, which is a nice feedback that'll explain why. And it's because your username and password have to be matched on both sites. And so when I'm in my normal account, it works fine, but it doesn't work in this situation, of course. So I also have a log out button, one of the things we didn't have on our first iteration. Didn't really think about logging out, but we know not everybody has their own computer, so they can certainly log out easily there. Now the company administrator functions, we're going to get into that a little bit, and the event participation. This is where you basically tell us yes or no for your team sports. That's the big piece to this. And as you can see, few different features here. You can search for different events. You can make the screen bigger. You can pull up every team event all at once to be able to see them. You can make it a little bit smaller, just see the first listing. This is all a sortable setup too. So you can sort by the deadline, which is nice. So you can have the early deadline showing first on this if you want to. But it's basically the same information that was on that admin toolkit document that we showed you with the deadlines. We have everything kind of consistent across. And you can see on here right away, looking at the different events, you can see, say for bags, we have 8 people interested, but you get 4 spots. So that's where we have to maybe assign some participants. We can say that, yes, we're going to have teams. I'm going to say bowling co-ed. I'll say, yes, we'll have a team. So that's what gives the feedback on our end when we pull reports. This is when this answer gets locked. So you can change this if you need to, up until May 19th at 5 p.m. At 5 p.m., that's when it locks as yes or no, and that's the answer that we take when we're putting together our brackets or our schedules. And so to change it is pretty easy. This, believe it or not, this has been a difficult piece to make sure it's clear to people. It's one of those things in the system we want to make it as clear as possible, but it has to do some functions for us too. And so if you say yes, change your mind, want to change it to no, just uncheck it. And now it's going to show up as a no. Change your mind again, just check it back to yes. So whatever it's showing on the screen at the time, a yes or no, that is the answer that you currently have in the system. And if you're not sure, just shoot us an email. We can look it up. We can pull a report and say what it's showing on our end too. So that's an easy one. Bowling co-ed, you get 1 team, and now it's showing that we have 1 team. We can go in on there and you can see who has shown interest for that. You can build your team based on that. I'm going to put myself on the team and grab the other people. Now you do have to be careful. Of course, it's a co-ed team. You need to make sure you're putting enough females on a team with that. So we'll go ahead and do that there. We do have some nice features with this where we do have some emails that come out. And so I should be getting an email here shortly. Yeah, that shows that I've been added to a roster. So your employees will get some feedback that they've been added to this roster. Besides what they'll see on their dashboard, they'll get something to show they've been added to that bowling team and which team it is, if it's a multi-team event, which that is what we're going to talk about next. For an example, like bags, where you can say you have a team, but that doesn't tell us whether you have 1 or 2 teams, since you're allowed to have 2. And so within bags, now here's where there's a little dialogue there. You can change that to 2 teams, and then you can assign people to their specific team at that point. I'm going to assign myself 2. So now you have your 4 people. You have the teams assigned as to which team they're on. And real quick, check on our dashboard. I can show you the feedback that now shows me. Shows me that I'm in bowling. I'm entered into bags, and since bags has multiple teams, it tells me which specific team I'm on as well. So that kind of covers the basics for the event participation. If you have questions on this, please let us know. Everything listed here on this particular set, see this team events button is checked or pushed, highlighted. Everything in here is a team event except for track and field co-ed. We do have it listed on here, the relays, because you can assign relay teams. We don't need a yes or no answer to this. You can see there's no deadline listed, but it'll allow you to be able to assign people to teams as well, or so that they know that they are participating. And it is a good way to just look through real quick and see if you have people interested in certain events. Again, you can look real quick, see who they are, see their email address. The other features of this, it's more of just another opportunity to be able to look quickly at things. You don't have to use this individual side. This is going to show every individual event, every category. That's why the search piece is nice, because now we can look, if you just want to look at the fitness walk, for example, and see who is signed up for that, you can quickly do that. And because it's an unlimited event, everybody's automatically entered onto the roster. So there's nothing that needs to be done here, but it's an opportunity to take a look at it. You can add a user if you want to. I've got everybody in this company already in it, so there's nobody to look at. But that's another way that you could quickly add somebody if you wanted to. Not necessary, exactly, but it's just a way to enter people in if you choose to. If they're not able to do it themselves, you can do it for them. There's a couple different ways to do that, and I'll show you here in a little bit. All right, so we already saw the manage organization screen. I will take you to it again, though, just to kind of see, if you need to add more questions, you could certainly do that. Now the captains, this is a sport captain feature we've been talking about several different spots here during the presentation. And I'm going to assign myself as a captain just so you can see the menu a little bit. I'm the only active user in my system. It will only show you those that have agreed to the waiver. We do that on purpose, so over the years you don't have a larger and larger list that grows with people who are inactive necessarily in this system. So it's currently only showing myself, but I'm going to make myself the bags tournament sport captain. And you can see now, whether you're a company admin or regular employee, if you're a sport captain, you're going to get this menu on the left. So that becomes part of your screen. And you can certainly add new captains. You can delete someone from being a captain. You can edit that person and add more sports to them if they're interested in doing more. You can give those to them as well. And so that gives you a lot of different opportunities. You can do this for non-team sports. If you want someone to be in charge of the fitness walk and just tracking who's signed up and making sure that people come out to it, you can do that as well. Not required, but there's a lot of options there. Another example I want to show is with track and field. We have categories set up on the back end of our system because an event like track and field has a lot of age groups and a lot of events. And so you don't want to have to assign every event to that person. And so we broke it up, male, female, and relays, essentially, just to give some different options. So if someone wants to be in charge of track and field completely, you just would assign all 3 of those to them. And so I'm going to assign myself the track and field male. And when I go into the manage rosters menu, which now as a sport captain, I have access to be able to assign rosters and make those changes. The only thing a sport captain cannot do is tell us the yes or no for the teams. That has to be a company administrator, and we do that on purpose just so, like we talked about earlier, some communication reasons, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page as to whether or not you'll have a team. We want to be real specific with that, because we want to make sure that a company that says that if a sport captain says they have a team, but then they don't actually have a team, that's when we get into the scheduling issues and everything else. So we have made it that way. So if you have some people, Kyle mentioned if you have other admins, you could have other people that maybe are technically a sport captain, but they're running multiple events. You can make them an admin if you'd like for that reason. We kind of leave it up to you how to manage that. So, but the sport captain can change the rosters, add people to them. You'll see track and field, as I mentioned, being a category. It doesn't show everything on the screen to keep it a little bit cleaner, but now we can see all of those events that are under the male category. So nothing has to be done for whether you're participating or not, of course, because we ask for the rosters. We don't ask whether or not you're gonna have people in those events, but that person can go in as a sport captain and say, yes, that you're going to be on a team. As I mentioned before, emails they get if you're assigned as a sport captain. You also get an email saying that you've been added as a sport captain for a certain event. So another piece of feedback that the employees will get that are helping out with the games. All right, so moving down to the volunteer menu. Of course, this got added because I said our company was going to provide volunteers. Here's where you can list preferences for different events. For the volunteer preferences, again, it's not guaranteed that you'll get these events, but it is timestamped. So the sooner you request certain events, the better, better chance of getting those. Kyle had mentioned the open assignments that we have. I have it on here so that if anybody's in the system right now, they don't claim it so that we can claim it. But what happens with these is a couple weeks out before an event, we will put out some open assignments, some extra volunteer spots that we have. And we'll put that in your company admin email as well, just to say, hey, these are going to come open at a certain date and time, so that if your company really wants to assign them, they can do that. And so you'll come into this menu, you'll see these open assignments, and just hit claim it. Now it's been assigned to my company. And so now we see under the assignments, your required assignments will show up under here as well. I just don't have any in here for our test, but you can see what events we're asking for people for, the dates and the times, the location, and it's very easy to assign people. You just click assign employee. This will show you all the employees that said yes to volunteering, and my company, everybody wants to volunteer in the company that I put in here. So I'm going to select myself, because we also get an email for this that'll let us know that we've been assigned to a spot. So there's other spots, other things too. We're going to talk about reports, but you could pull a report of people who are interested in volunteering. So you could copy and paste all the email addresses, just send an email and say, hey, we have these spots. Are you interested in filling them? We try to make it as easy as possible for you to get that information out and get feedback from employees. So go check our email here, and there's the volunteer spot. It tells me the event, the task, the date and the time, and the location. So I'm going to remove myself, because we can also, on those volunteer assignments, we can assign non-employees. And we always do these in pairs. I only did the one just for test purposes, but you can, when you have the pairs, you might have an employee and their spouse that wants to volunteer with them. You might have, other family members, non-employees, friends. We're not too concerned about that, as long as it's someone who's willing to volunteer and willing to help out. That's great. And so that's where you can, bring in some non-employees. And so we have it set up where you just put in their name. That part is required, but the email part is optional. That way, if you can have an email address in there, if someone needs to get a hold of that person. But we'll just put in my name, and we won't put an email. I'm not going to worry about that part. And now it'll just tell me who that is, and it would list an email if that person was in there. They do not receive an email from our system, since they're not actually in it. They won't receive the volunteer email, just know that. But that would that helps for organizational purposes, so you can see who you've assigned and everything as well. All right, manage employees menu. This is where you can see all the employees that you have in the system for Corporate Games Manager. Anybody who has set up an account at some point, even those that don't have their account set up, but maybe they got an invite, which you can kind of do what we're doing for new admins. You can invite people in here. We don't recommend doing this very often. It might be easier in some cases. This is a way to make sure it just ties them directly to the company. You can do multiple emails at once, just use a comma to separate them. definitely, I don't recommend doing a lot of those because you may trigger spam on your side, you know, with sending out several emails through the invite system. But if you want to do this kind of one-off or send it out to a couple of employees, this is certainly something you can do. You just put in their email addresses, hit invite, and then they'll get the same invitation email that you're going to get if you're a new admin. And so within this menu, multiple options here. You can look at you can look at their information. You can make changes for them if you need to. You could help them reset a password. They can do that on their own, but this is just another way to do that. Maybe fill in what their t-shirt size is, or if you have any custom questions, you can do that for them. You can look at the events that they're signed up for and basically act as them in the system. You could remove them from events, or you could add them to an event too. If you're trying to build your team for a sport and they said, yeah, I'm interested in doing mud volleyball, well, you can go ahead and add them. But it shows their age groups, you know, specific to their event. So you'll see exactly what they're eligible to participate in. So that's there. And then the last button on here is if an employee has left the company or they're not part of your company anymore, you can remove them. They're still in the system, but it removes them from your company. And so if they were to log in, they simply would not be attached to anybody. They would just kind of have an empty dashboard and couldn't sign up for anything. So that's something you may need to utilize. We just have that feature in there in case you do. All right, so next is managing our news. Oh, real quick, sorry, I forgot one thing on this. You can see the roles for your employees as well. You can see that I'm the only admin in this company. If you have other employees that you want to have an admin, or if you're not sure what their role is, you know, you can see that here. If you want another admin, if they already have an account, it's very easy for us to make that change. So just send an email over to Kyle or myself and just say, I need so-and-so to be an admin. We can go in. It's just a simple changing of a box from employee to admin. Very easy. And then they'll have all the admin features that are on the left there. All right, so the news section, as you saw on the dashboard, you can see the news that we can put in. This is for you as a company admin to be able to put news on the dashboards for your employees. Only your company will see this. You can easily create a new one. There is some HTML ability if you've got some skill with that, so you can customize it a little bit. Publishing is simple. There's a toggle button for published and untoggle it for not published. So very, very easy to use. I'll show you the one this is just a test one. There's nothing really special in it, but have a title, have something in the body. I'm going to hit published. You can now see with that check mark that is published, and it shows up on the dashboard. So pretty easy to use. We've had companies put announcements there or links to different things that they might be doing internally, document related. So there's a lot of ability to use that and how you'd like. Nikki asking if they get an email for any of the news, or only shows on the dashboard. They do not get an email for that news. Yeah, it only shows up on the dashboard. I will say we've had companies that will do their own newsletter. We do, of course, our Monday one, and we've had some that'll send out one later in the week that's specific to their company. So that's something that you could do, and then you could link it on to that news if you want. To be honest, I'm not sure how many people look at the news on the dashboard. We definitely encourage it. It's a good place to just have information. We know, like, for the information that we have on there, it's just a good one-stop shop to see some things quickly, so they don't have to navigate through the website to find it. You know, we have a link directly to the events page, to our point system and the calendar events, just some quick things that employees may be interested in, might answer some questions for them easily. So I would definitely direct people to try and utilize that. And if you put something on there, you know, that might be important on a regular basis, that's maybe a good thing to remind people to log in and look at their dashboard and check it out. And that also just leads them to doing other things, signing for events and making sure they know that they're on a team, and being able to check all that. So it just gives them some familiarity with the site. All right, so lastly, but not least on here is our reports. And I'm not going to go through all of these reports, but I'll give you just some indication of what these are. The difference between these top two, the participants by user summary and participants by users detail. The summary is, say I signed up for 8 events. It's going to pull an Excel sheet, basically a CSV file for you of, well, I guess I can go ahead and pull one here. it's got multi-levels. So the summary, you really probably don't want to use the levels, but it's an option. You can just go right past it and it'll show everything. Oops. Yeah, I'll do something here quick. There we go. I'll pull one of these reports so you can get a look at it. All right, and so these are nice if you have specific events or just want to reach out to everybody who's got an email in the system. You could quickly copy and paste everybody's email and put it into an email in Outlook or your email system. Makes it pretty easy. This summary, what this really does is you can see all the events that I signed up for or an employee signed up for in one row. So each employee has one row. Now the difference is on the detail version is you could pull by certain events, of course, or if you pull the entire thing, that's where everybody's going to have a row for every event that they're in. So it does have some usefulness. I know on our end, we do a lot of registrations with some of our events. And so it's nice to have something like this. You can easily sort, you can sort it by event, and now you've got a quick list that shows everybody and everything they're doing. But it's all individual rows so that you can quickly, pull things out and pull out certain events. And so it does have some usefulness there. It's a very simple report, but it's got some different ways that you can utilize that. And then going down a little further, volunteer reports. This is going to show those that are interested in volunteering for your company. So again, same thing where you could pull the list of email addresses. I mentioned that earlier when we were looking at the volunteer menu, and you can send out an email just to everybody to say, hey, we have these spots available. Are you interested in filling any of them? And then maybe fill your spots from there. A simple way to do that. The event questions report, that is where if the questions that we ask, such as if you'd like to be a sport captain for bags, that's where all of those answers will show up, is in that report. A company question report where we put in the t-shirt size. That is a report that'll show any questions you ask there and those answers. The volunteer assignment report, that'll show you your volunteer assignments and who's been assigned to those. You also have that in the volunteer menu, of course, but if you need that to copy and paste information, that's an easy place to do it. And then the check-in report is going to pull, again, it's a multi-level report. So say the fitness walk happened this weekend and you wanted to see who all participated from your company, maybe before we got the results out. And you can even see it in real time because there's a time window for that. And you could look at it and see, have we had anybody show up, or how many people have come from our company? You could quickly pull that and it'll give you all of the different options here and the different events. Generally, I wouldn't go by event, but I go by the check-in events. Those are kind of the overarching event for that particular day. And you could pull a report just specific to one, or you can pull, like I mentioned, at the end of the year or into the season, pull just one with everything on it, and it'll pull everybody from your company when they checked in and what events it was for. So that's kind of a nice thing to have, to just kind of look at participation and see how things went for you. So this is, this kind of covers everything within Corporate Games Manager. I have some notes for myself here to just remind everybody when we're talking about rosters, this is all for your use with the rosters. It's not for ours. We don't need to know who's on a roster. We do have occasionally someone will call us on a Friday before a Saturday event and say, so-and-so can't be there and someone else is replacing them. Well, that's great, but we don't need to know. We just need to know that your team's going to be there, and because they'll check in, that check-in system will track them, then we'll know who actually participated in the event, and you'll know as well. So that's what's important to us. The roster piece is simply for your use. Just want to re-emphasize that. And real quick, I'm going to do a little demo here of our check-in system, just to show you a little bit more about how this works and what it will look like. Whoops. All right, so when we have events going on, the check-in system would be live, and we've got a test event set up right now, as we showed you during the presentation. Very simple to use. Click Find User. You can look by first or last name. I definitely recommend last name. It's going to show a little bit better. in there. It does pull from an email address. There's another person in there with my last name apparently in their email address, so that's why that other person shows up in there. If you pull by first name, you're going to get usually a lot more. And for me, Matt's a pretty common name, so pulling by email address is the easiest way to do it. And this will be on, if you're doing it from your phone, it'll show up the same way. If you do it from one of our tablets on site, it'll show up that way too. Generally with COVID, our plan is this year we'll have volunteers do the check-in in for you if you do it, if you don't use your own phone. So you may not, actually utilize this, but it's good to see how it works. So if I find my name, click on that. If you have people with the same name, that certainly happens. Make sure you've got the right company. Just select the user. And then I can hit check in. And there you go. Really simple. Just takes a few seconds to get checked in for events, especially if you have your account set up. If you don't have your account set up yet, that's when it takes longer. And I'll go back here and show you that. But the big thing to notice is you get this green dialog box to confirm that you've checked in. That's the key. Make sure you've seen that. The other thing is if you're doing this from your own device, it helps to be logged in to your account through your dashboard. It definitely helps to do that. We've seen last year, we saw that sometimes that causes it to get a little delayed in getting going. So if you're checked in or if you're signed into your account, that certainly helps. Again, I'll go back here. If you're looking for somebody that's not in the system, you can click here to create a new account. That's where they have to go through the entire setup, getting their account set up. And we do have a little bit easier where we can just go through a scroll setup of the companies, which is helpful. But at the same time, it's a lot better to have an account set up before they get there that day. All right. Now we can move on to some strategies for success. Kyle?
Thanks, Matt. You always do a phenomenal job explaining all that. I know it's a lot. So if you have specific questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to help. But some strategies for success versus communications. Awareness of the corporate games is key. So can you send out company-wide emails? Do you have the opportunities to distribute information to groups of employees? The most successful companies are the ones that can spread the word of the games and get people to understand what it is and how to sign up for events. So we really strongly encourage you to utilize those admin tools. If there's something that we aren't providing that would be helpful, just let us know. We'll do our best to find a way to help. And if there's someone from our staff that can come out to a lunch and learn or do a Zoom call, health fair, things like that, we're always happy to do those. COVID makes it a little tough, but we're always happy to try and find a way to increase participation with your company. Second is delegation. For a lot of you, serving as your company admin is that other duties is assigned in your job description. I've been there, so I understand that it isn't a big part of your job duties. So the more you can spread out the responsibilities, the better. Some companies utilize a committee to spread out those admin duties, so it's not all on one person. Another helpful thing is to utilize that sport captain function, as we just showed in Corporate Games Manager. Strengths, not every company participates in everything. In fact, I'd say most do not. So have a group that do you have a group that regularly plays basketball or is in a bowling league? Things like that. You need to utilize those people to help put your teams together. And if you're having trouble filling your team slots, focus on getting the employees to do other events. And then schedule a time and place for things such as the fitness walk to get a group, hey, this group, we're going to show up at 5:45 p.m. and we're all going to walk together. We encourage you to be there. Just things like that might work well for your company to get increase that participation just a little bit. And then lastly is ask questions. We know it's a lot, so make sure as a staff that you're asking our staff any questions. Matt, myself, our intern, Jeff, he's located in Iowa City and will be helping us out over there too. So there's lots of people available to help. Email's the best way. And if you want to schedule a phone call, a Zoom call, anything like that, feel free to reach out. And remember to utilize that information on the website. A lot of it should be there. I know I messed up on dodgeball, but hopefully there's no other issues out there. If there are, email them to me. You don't feel bad like, hey, Kyle, you messed this up. totally okay. We'd rather get it right if there is anything out there like that. So our goal is to have as much information as possible available to you and your employees. We've had some great admins that have been involved in the games for several years, and we utilize them too for feedback on events, modifying events, and dispersing information. So we can get you in touch with lead company admins that have been in the games for a few years. The worst part about not being able to have this meeting in person is that networking piece. Not only for us to meet you in person, get to know you and things, and you meeting other admins and things like that. So that is a piece that I miss. I haven't had the chance, being newer to the corporate games, to be able to meet a lot of you yet, which is, I'm very an in-person, get to know you type of person. So that kills me. So I'm looking forward to this summer, having a few more of those in-person events so I can get to know many of you and your employees and really kind of build some relationships so I know you not just as a person that participates in this event or sends me emails, but really get to know you all. So again, any questions, let me know. I'm happy to help get you help increase that participation so you get what you want out of it for your company in the corporate games. So with that, we know it was a lot of information, so there's probably, we encourage you now to ask any questions. Feel free to type them in the chat, in the Q&A, wherever is easiest for you. We're happy to answer any questions that you have. If you have more specific questions or if you have to go or anything like that, shoot me an email. I'm happy to help out. I know as you get into Corporate Games Manager, you'll have more questions too. So don't hesitate. Feel free to type those in either spot right now, and we'll answer any questions you have.
Aubrey, you got your question there about in regards to family members being able to volunteer. How do we get those people signed up? Basically, just let me pull that back up here on the website. So if it's somebody who's not an employee, they do not set up a Corporate Games Manager account. They simply, it's kind of, they work externally a little bit with it, I would say. But in that volunteer manager account, in the volunteer management screen here, when you're assigning people, you'd simply, I'm going to assign myself to that, but I think I broke it. Let's go back in there. All right. So we'll go back in and assign somebody. That's where you just do the assign a non-employee and put their name in. That's more, it's not necessary, I would say, for everything, but it's good just for organizational purposes. And it helps on our end too. If we're double checking, make sure we have our volunteer spots filled, we can pull a report on our side as well that covers everything. And then we can see that, yep, you've got those spots filled and the names of the people that are in there. So Kyle, you might be able to correct me. I can't think of anything at the moment that would require us to reach out ahead of time, but sometimes it's nice if there's maybe like the location might be hard to find or something like that, then we can reach out to the people who are listed and say, hey, just a reminder, got you signed up to volunteer tomorrow. Here's where to go. If you're having questions, let us know. We can help out with that too sometimes. But yeah, that's basically, if they're a non-employee, this would be the only place you would put them in anywhere, and they don't set up an account at all. Jennifer, your question, is there a timeline or a step-by-step guide as far as when we should send our first email to our team, or a template we should use? If you go to the admin toolkit, we don't necessarily have a timeline. Basically, after this meeting, you're free to run. Everything's open. That's why we kind of hold off until now, just so we can get through all the details and make sure everybody knows everything that's going on with it before we send it out to or before we have employees come in. We purposely will stay away from pushing things out to past employees for a little while. We don't want to jump over your process either. Ideally, within the next week or two is when you would send out an email. The sample email for employees is a good place to start. You don't have to use it, and you don't have to use it in its entirety, but it definitely is a good starting point. That's from another company, admin is what it's from initially. I saw his email. I'm like, can I borrow that? Because I think that'd be really good for everybody. In the administrator toolkit, I don't know if you can see my screen here. If you go on the website under admin toolkit, and then down at the bottom under promotional materials, there's the sample email for employees. So you can just take that. Yep, no problem. And so that's you could do that today. I know we'll have people yet today that'll start pushing information out. We probably won't. And Jesse's saying on there for the blood donation challenge timeline, it works best if you can reach out fairly soon since it starts May 1st. That gives you time to organize. As far as us reaching out directly to employees who are already in the system, we usually won't do that until early May. That'll be when we start pushing out and maybe starting our regular updates. We don't do it weekly in May, but we push a few out just to get people going and ready. So yeah, you have a few weeks here to get everything out, but the sooner the better, I would say, if you're ready and comfortable. But if you have questions for us before you do that, again, just ask. We can help guide you a little bit too. And your last question there, once we roll out our initial emails, employees can go to start and sign up. Yes, absolutely. Let me log out and I'll show you what they will see if they're, so let's say I'm not in the system. New user register here. This is where they will type in, their basic information and the company code. I'll give you the fake company that I've been working in. You can see it's red. Once I have that in there, it turns green and shows them the company. That's something I didn't demonstrate before, but that gives you all the information there. Christina, you asked if you got the corporate games manager is now live email. Yep, that's the one that Kyle sent out. We'll receive another email to log in, actually see our admin sections. You have to forgive me. I'm not sure if you're a new admin or not. If you're a new admin, then yes, new admins. Once we get done with this meeting, it's a manual process. So actually, as soon as we're done, Kyle's going to log into the website and start sending those invites out. And so, I mean, we say give it a little bit of time, but in all honesty, if Kyle gets to it immediately, it takes probably 10 minutes. I don't want to pressure him or anything, but it doesn't take very long to do. So you'll have that very shortly. And if you don't get it within a little bit, like we were saying, just go ahead and reach out. And we sometimes, like we talked about, because of spam, whatnot, those emails might not wind up in your inbox. And so we can just work on our end to maybe set you up with a temporary password and give you the login information. Oh, Jennifer, yep, yeah, go ahead. If you have Kyle's email, or just send it to our info@corridorcorporategames.org too. That goes to Kyle as well, actually. Right now, it'll go to our intern once he gets started. But yeah, either way, you can send that over, and we will get you added in.
That's my first task. Once the meeting is adjourned, I'll have those sent out. So very soon.
Someday maybe we'll have that setup automated. The last time we did this meeting in person, I went over to Panera and sat there and said, everybody give me half an hour. Let me get these done and we'll get them out. And so that was the first thing I did. Pull up the laptop, send them out, and we were ready. All right, any other questions? If not, we'll go ahead and end the webinar. If you're typing, I'll talk just a little bit longer, but just another thank you to everybody for being on this. This is a pretty important meeting. We hate that it lasts as long as it does, but there's a lot of information that we have to get out. And so really appreciate everybody hanging around and listening to everything. And hopefully you've got the information you need. Again, ask questions if you need some help. Looking forward to a great summer. This weather we've had lately has certainly been helpful to get us excited. We're ready to get outdoors and get having these events and get going. So thanks again. We'll go ahead and close. And if you have any other questions, reach out. Otherwise, good luck this summer, and we will be talking to you soon.